Hey you guys, it's Matt. I recorded a video for one of my new favorite books, my second favorite book of the year, Gnomon by Harkaway, and the audio was truly unusable. It was trash. And so I was just going to scrap it and not film it again. But then my brain said to me, hey, why don't we do it again, like gayer, and at 4:30 a.m.? And I said, yeah, cool, that sounds right. So today we are talking about Gnomon by Nick Harkaway. This is truly a book that nearly defies description. It's so complex and intricate and weird in terms of its narrative structure, but I'm going to try and do my best. It takes place in a near-future London where the UK has sacrificed their privacy in exchange for convenience and safety. And so there is a actually benevolent AI called the Witness, and it sees everything that goes on, and the world is a lot safer for it, and power is actually put into the hands of the people, because at the end of your week you have to sit down for 2 hours, and the Witness creates little committees, and then you have to examine and vote on issues. And that actually creates actionable change that is driven by the people themselves more than through elected representatives. And so I think that's a cool idea on its own. But a bit of a, dark side to the Witness is some people sometimes need to be taken in for interrogation, essentially. And the way that's done is your brain is connected to a machine, and the Witness is basically able to delve through your thoughts and project them onto screens for technicians to sift through, and they can ask questions, see if you're lying, telling the truth. They can hear everything you're thinking, kind of delve into some memories and stuff like that. And so that is a complete and total violation, invasion. It's truly a rape of the mind. But the pros of it are that it is a machine that's entirely unbeatable, and nobody has ever died in it. And this story is about a woman who promptly does both. Diana Hunter, she's a bit of a distant citizen, and she's turned her home into a Faraday cage for women, so that so that the Witness can't actually see what's going on in her home. And she seems to be a bit against the Witness in terms of some books she's allegedly written. And so the Witness takes her in, and she is hooked up to the machine. She promptly beats it, and then promptly dies right after. And so an inspector named Millie Neath is tasked with investigating this unprecedented event. And so the story follows Millie Neath as she investigates, but one of the ways that she investigates is by actually downloading Diana Hunter's memories of her interrogation into her own mind, and then those memories unspool at night while she's sleeping. And so the most interesting part, and the part where this gets batshit crazy weird, is Diana Hunter. She doesn't remember memories of her own life. The way that she beats the Witness is kind of by constructing a new narrative that she can use to obfuscate anything she's trying to hide. And so when Neath experiences Diana Hunter's memories, she's not experiencing that. She is experiencing a Carthaginian alchemist tasked with creating alcohols to bring back the dead during the times of Scipio, back in the day. She also remembers the life of Constantine Kyriakos, who is a Greek banker who has a spiritual kind of religious experience with a shark, and then turns into a madman who suddenly excels like crazy at investment banking and becomes insanely rich. She also remembers the life of a Ethiopian artist tasked with creating a kind of revolutionary new video game in London. And then finally she remembers the Gnomon, who is basically an intelligence controlling multiple scores and scores of bodies, who seems to be from the end of the world. And so the story tells of Neath investigating, but then broken up by that every time she sleeps, we get long, and I'm talking long, thick, chunky, big chapters of the lives of these kind of four different people who are all supposedly Diana Hunter. And it's wild. So something I will say is that if you are looking for just kind of a light read, something that doesn't take much brain power, then this book definitely isn't going to be for you. It's also a bit of a commitment in the beginning. If you have to take so much mind, you like Baru Cormorant, Vita Nostra, Malazan, you like books that are annoyingly complex in the way that, like, the filmmaker says, yeah, Stanley Kubrick's okay, but have you ever heard of Ingmar Bergman? Like, if you're like that kind of person like me, then this is a book that you'll definitely like. However, I will say, because you should know this, I've had this book in my Audible library for 3-4 years, and I had tried to read it 3-4 times. And I never got past Constantine's religious experience. But then, earlier this year, I decided just keep pushing through it, and I am so glad that I did, because this book pays off in dividends. I'm not an adult, I don't know if that's the right term, but Constantine is a banker, so I thought I'd throw it in there. It's such a cool story. And the reason I love the story so much is that you are slowly piecing together kind of all these disparate clues from these very, very, very incredibly different narratives of Diana's life. And along with that, the author inserts some very super interesting ideas into the story at like every single point. It's just so many cool ideas that are kind of like revolutionary. Like the one that I thought was brilliant, and sure it would need to be kind of like worked out to make sure it can be really abused. But at one point, the Ethiopian artist gets up on stage and announces that he is creating a new app.
Our users will record incidences of hate. We'll be working initially to produce a live map, like a traffic congestion map of more and less racist areas, safe routes home, institutionally racist police forces and local authorities, local populations, weather star rating system, and so on. Eventually, I want to roll out iterations for anyone who is not part of the obvious privileged class, for women, for trans people, for people of color, for the blind and the deaf, and so on, so that we can map prejudice and racism intersectionally. But one must start somewhere, so I'm calling version 1, Walking Whilst Black. I have some concerns about the name because I don't wish to rule out those who are in wheelchairs or mobility carts, but the phrase is there in the language, and I feel it is well understood. Available to download next month. About a month after that, we'll publish our first report into the reality of Britain's hate at a street level. We'll be able to tell you who are the most stupid, ignorant, bigoted people in the country to an accuracy of a few meters.
I just like that these kind of two ideas could be applied to protecting people based on whatever minority they fall into. I think that's so cool. And the author inserts so many cool ideas like this all throughout the book, and it's really amazing. I also really, really liked the character of Neith, who is probably about a fifth of the book, the other who's probably about a quarter of the book. I really like her, like, no-nonsense, over-your-bullshit kind of attitude. That's something I always love, especially in a woman, and I really, really enjoyed her. Along with that, I was fascinated by the story of the Ethiopian artist, whose name I cannot remember collectively. But truly, every character in this book was like very fully realized. Their characterization was done great. Their stories were all very, very interesting, and it was actually cool seeing how they kind of connected. Because at the end of like one of Constantine's chapters, something happens to him, and then when you pick up with the Carthaginian alchemist chapters, she has just experienced the same thing. And so you do see that these narratives aren't entirely disparate. They actually are connected to a common theme and through some common plot points throughout. And I just think it is a brilliant book. It is so worth the read, and I highly recommend you pick it up. This is one that if you are at all interested in like Baru Cormorant and the ideas it has, I think that you would absolutely love this book. If you're looking for something light, like I said, and this is not going to be the book for you, pick up Cradle by Will White instead. Great series. I love this book. It's my second favorite book of the year after Tyrant Brew Cormorant, and it's shot its way up into probably my top 10 favorite books ever. I cannot wait for some of you to pick this up. If you do, please report back to me and let me know what you think. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a gay and beautiful day. Bye. Mwah.